Sonic's actually seen quite a unique number of racing games over the years, often putting his own spin on the generic mascot racing game genre. So today, I'm taking you through every single Sonic racing game to see which one's the best, or something. I don't know. I usually have a better goal for my videos. Can we sort of skip over this one, actually? This is generally considered as the very first Sonic racing game, but I know you're asking yourself, is it any good? No. Okay, no, you know what? I had to sit down and play these games. You better have the decency to sit down and listen to me ramble about them. I literally can't turn. I just shoot off to the left. Sorry that I'm not a Sonic Drift master like, you know, some of you unsurprisingly are, but the controls are absolutely confusing. Sometimes my car just stops, as if I'm taking damage after a drift, because I held it for a little too long. What kind of mechanic is this? I hate this game. I'm not playing the second one. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. People tend to hate on this game, but personally, this is really charming to me. The controls aren't even that bad when you get used to them. I know I just said that even though I shat on Sonic Drift for its stupid controls that I didn't bother learning. If I see one of you saying I'm a Sonic Drift hater in the comment section, there's a pretty nice variety of characters here, but some are obviously better than others. These guys are either F tier, B tier, or SS tier, and it's hilarious. I bet the multiplayer is amazing in this game. No, I don't have some kind of fun compilation segment of me playing this game with friends. Who's playing Sonic R? This game is pretty addicting to replay over and over again, and Super Sonic is a nice reward for doing so. This is definitely the best one so far. Well, obviously. Alright, now they're just showing off Sonic. This is honestly my favorite Sonic racing game on the entire list already. I like to think Sonic was tired of winning all these foot races, so just went, fuck it. Hoverboards. The gameplay is phenomenal here. You actually need some skill to pull off a good time. The story mode is kinda neat as well, and the Babylon Rogues are pretty cool additions to the Sonic cast. If only we could see her take wing. I think it's kinda funny where there's like no tutorial at all in this game. Like they're just sort of expecting newbies to figure it out on their own. Maybe get a paid course by their big brother or something. It was probably needed though, because this is a pretty mechanically complex game, especially if you set aside your life to take the time to master it. But this complexity is also what makes the game so much fun. Surely the sequel will only build upon this game's strengths to make for an even better experience. This game's fine. It's sort of a dumbed down version of Riders, I guess because it had to be playable on a Wii remote, which is so stupid! That's like me making my video shit quality because they have to be viewable on a GBA. Because of this, it lacks the complexity of the original game, which is a shame in my opinion. While it does add stuff of its own, like the anti-gravity mechanic, it takes so much freedom away that it's not enough to save it. The trick system, for instance. In the original, you had to spin the stick around, but here you just press the A button on the ramp and you're done. There's nothing wrong with the game, but compared to the original Riders, it is a little... But hey, it's still a decently fine game. Surely the sequel will improve on... Uh-oh. Free Riders is the very first game to introduce Roger Craig Smith as the voice of Sonic, and he oddly delivers his lines like Jason here.
Feeling good. I'm looking forward to seeing the sights as I tear through such a beautiful town.
It's kind of surreal. Okay, who am I kidding? This is still Roger Craig Smith here. The story is a big downgrade from the previous games, at least production value-wise. Everyone's just PNGs here, which will become a common trend for the video, as you'll see later. As for the gameplay... no. So that was the Sonic Riders series. I definitely like the idea of hoverboards for Sonic. It perfectly fits with the idea that Sonic as a franchise is just what Nintendo does, but... cooler. I also like the idea of an on-foot race, but since that idea hasn't been touched on since Sonic R, we get... Wait, is Sonic Rivals a racing game? It has to be. Shoot, I haven't played that. Man, it's really a shame, you know? I don't want to piss off the hardcore Sonic Rivals fans. Nobody will care if we just continue on with the video, right? I have a lot of nostalgia for Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. This is the game that first introduced me to Jet Set Radio, Super Monkey Ball, Samba de Amigo, and a lot of other Sega franchises. As for the gameplay... yeah, this is a pretty solid car racer, but I really think it's a shame they got rid of the hoverboards here. I guess it's so they could have more original and creative vehicles for the Sega characters, so for the concept of the game, it does make sense, but having Sonic drive a generic Sonic-themed sports car is much more lame, in my opinion. Is there even a story in this game? I forgot. I don't think there's a story in this game. Even if there was, I'd probably spend more time in the jukebox than the actual story mode. It has its charm, and the concept's kinda neat, but it's nothing too extraordinary. Just a generic car racer with Sega characters and environments. There was also a DS version of this game, which I played to death when I was younger. I probably played this more than the main version, which is kind of pathetic. But I already made an entire video on Sonic D-Mix back when I first started the channel, so if you're interested in me talking about this game, you can go watch that, okay? TF2! Of course, this game got a sequel. I've heard a lot of good stuff about this one, but I've yet to actually try it out for some reason. What, do you think I'll waste $5 on a good Sonic game? I only pay 40 for a mediocre one. I think the vehicle swapping mechanic is much more interesting than the generic mascot racing game thing they had going on in the first one. It won't reach the level of exaggerated swagger of the hoverboard, but it's at least much more creative. Why is Wreck-It Ralph in this game? I really don't have much to say on this one. It's just the first game, but more creative and more better. People generally tend to consider Team Sonic Racing as the game to conclude the All-Stars Racing trilogy, even if it doesn't share the same title. I'm kinda mad at this game. It's just sort of a more bland and uninspired version of the previous games. They scrapped the transforming gimmick to go back to the generic car racing, and that only really makes it lose its charm. There's also the advertising. I remember when I first saw this logo and I went nuts, only to figure out that it would not only not be inspired by Sonic R at all, but also go back to the most uninspired gimmick they had lying around. And here it's even worse, because instead of at least having different vehicles, everyone drives a sports car. You can't make this up. That, combined with the generic 2010s PNG story you would expect from a game like this, really makes for a game that doesn't leave an impression at all. But hey, at least the music's good. This is at least it's portable of the Sonic franchise. If I'd have to pick my favorite, it would definitely be Sonic Riders. I forgot to talk about this, but I love how expressive all the characters are in the cutscenes here. Sonic's current model could never pull off expressions like these, but that leaves the question, what kind of changes would SEGA have to make in order to come up with a more expressive Sonic model? Well, you can hear me ramble all about that right here.